Hey guys, Brandon here. Welcome back to another video. With outsourcing and the ability to work from anywhere or do practically any job with the access of either internet, computer, or access to other cultures, countries that might have a differing cost of living, a question was posed to me. Should remote employees for an organization be paid less than in-office staff? And to me, there is two schools of thought with this. There's the idea of, well, if all of your remote employees are overseas, then the answer probably should be yes, because their cost of living is less and you can pad your margins as an organization and be more profitable in the long run. Now, in this conversation, I don't want to talk about ethics or morality, because if all else was equal, we would want to be ethical and moral in the way that we pay both our remote employees and in-office staff. But from a financial and operating cost standpoint, if you have a lot of staff who are over in other countries with lower cost of living, it only makes sense as a top level executive or as an investor to maximize your profits to a certain degree without taking ethics or morality into this, just on a strictly financial standpoint. But the other school of thought is that of this doesn't come from your ability to pay them equal, but also the access to that employee in office versus outside of the office. So in the office, the manager has the ability to overlook their work, make sure they're not, messing around, making sure they're kind of like micromanaging, but more of passive micromanaging, where you understand that the employee took the time out of their day to come here and then to sit down and essentially do work. And there is the confidence in them doing work at their place of employment. Remote employees don't have that same level of double checking whether or not you are actually doing work, or whether or not you're not double working, essentially overworking, where you have multiple jobs. And there's a downside from the organization standpoint. There's a downside in productivity from remote employees because of their access to resources and access to alternatives, in addition to, and the ability to hide it from their primary employer. So if I, as an organization, said, okay, all of these things are in favor of the remote worker, to the degree of my own detriment in terms of productivity and in terms of ability to track and to follow, I would think I would need to hedge my bets against by reducing the amount of money versus an in staff. In staff, you also have to buy chairs, assets, office supplies, all that type of additional costs as well that go into it, which you would think that you would then subsidize it to some degree, but it's almost like a reinforcement tool where I am willing to pay more to you being in office because I'm already also paying this as a sunk cost. If it's being utilized, I can then write off this portion, whereas a remote worker, you don't have that ability and that taxable tax reduction system in place. Remote employees have more power for against the organization for several reasons. The first one is the ability to use AI and overworking systems to where they can have multiple jobs at once to varying degrees. Another example of this is I am working for, let's say, Cisco, a computer company, and doing something for some amount of time, 40 hours a week. Well, I could also at that same time be working for a company over in Dubai using remote opportunities to pad additional money, and using the time difference, using a system of AI automation procedures, I can essentially be working 2, 3, 4 jobs at the same time without any additional effort being done on my part, but I'm sacrificing the focus and the quote unquote brain power that I could be giving to Cisco in not splitting it equally, but by splitting it between all these different organizations. This hurts the organization's ability in productivity. So if they know, it doesn't matter. This is kind of like a blanket statement. If they know, and they're going to assume the worst, and then they're going to assume the worst in the majority of their employees based on certain data metrics, certain KPI models. If I, as an organization, look at that and say, okay, my average remote worker is 40% less productive because of insert all these things here, whether or not it's true or not, there's a baseline understanding that this is the norm of the market because insert all these, I guess, what was that, details or things, just not even nuances, but you get a general sense of understanding that your remote worker could be putting more effort into it based on the average of all remote workers or all in office staff, and you have that metric to compare it to. And why, as a leader, would I not reduce my pay to those remote workers? There is a downward spiral idea of it, though, because if you pay the remote workers less, then they're more likely to do less and more likely to do the overworking and do all these other things. So it's a double-edged sword, kind of, but it's justifiable in other ways. The other ways being remote staff is easier to replace. There's less headache when it comes to HR. There's no real tax incentives that come from hiring remote employees compared to in-office staff that you're able to track and to check all those boxes for another purpose. Now, again, this is a non-ethical conversation. I think that in terms of morality and ethics, all things should be equal if all work is being done to the same standard that they were hired for. If I came into an organization, had a sheet of paper that had every single thing I was supposed to do, and then that same in-staff employee has that same exact sheet, our pay should be equal. It shouldn't matter whether or not I'm doing my job from a computer in Dubai. It shouldn't matter if I'm on a beach in Bali. If I am doing the same work to the same effort to the same, all else should be equal. Now, obviously, the organization's probably not going to feel that same way because they're thinking, hey, our in-office staff is sitting in a cubicle and you're sitting on a beach in Bali doing the exact same work. It seems like you're having more fun in life and therefore we should pay you less. Which, completely unfair, but I can see where some corporations would kind of have that thorn in the side and be like, I think you deserve less. But back to the core of it. What do you guys think? Do you think that remote employees should be paid less than the in-office staff? Let's put you in the position of a business owner, and you had to hire 2 employees. You had to. There no option. You had to. And you had to make sure one employee was remote, and you had to have one in staff. And all of the benefits and issues that come with both of these things. Not what would you say, but do you also think that remote employees should be paid less? What is your justification for your answer? If you like this video, like and subscribe. If you would like to answer the question, please post it down below. I would love to hear, and I would like to read off some of these in the following video. And with that, let's move on to the next one. Alrighty, guys. I will see you in the next video. Bye.